Hi friends of Watching Time. Today we speak about a watch, or better say two watches, that I love. The video of today is about the Zodiac Astrograph. On the left, on the gold tone, you could see the original model that was released around 1969. While on the right, there is the reissue of the same model that Zodiac sold in 2019 for the 50 years anniversary of the watch. Today we will examine the two watches and make a small comparison between the two. So let's go back to 1969 when Zodiac released this watch. The press release at the time mentioned the space exploration, the same platform is used by Zodiac nowadays, mentioning in this case the exploration of Mars. We can start taking a look at the original watch. So the case shape is what is usually defined as a barrel shape, which was an uncommon but not totally new design back in the day. You can see it's a 40mm diameter, the lug width is 18 cm, the lug to lug is 43.5, while the thickness is 12.3. Today then a new measurement, the dial measurement. So the dial in this case is 29mm. On the back you can see the case back is pretty clean with a small Libra symbol. The crown in this case is normal, there is a small symbol on it, has a nice movement. Supposedly there is a fast change date, but the quick set I couldn't find it. Being on the back of the watch, let's speak about something else that is peculiar about this watch. Inside these beats have quite peculiar caliber, the so-called caliber 88D. The 88D caliber has 36,000 beats per hour, which means that the second hand, in this case the second disc, let's say, will beat 10 times per second. So it is a very high beat movement for the time, and even for today it's quite out of ordinary. The movement was called SST at the time, meaning split second time, and was praised for its high precision. I will show later a little comparison of the ticking of this watch compared to the new one. Let's move to the front of the watch. I'm sorry that this vintage in my possession has a little dent. As you can see, I think that maybe the finishing looks pretty flat because of the coating. As you will see then later in the new version, in the reissue, the finishing is pretty great in the stainless steel version. But let's move to the main dish today, the so-called mystery dial. That was not totally new for the time, but put everything together, as we saw the case shape, the movement, and this mystery dial, the watch is definitely pretty unique. You see that the hour, the minute, and the second seems floating on the dial. The reason is that the ends, let's say, are mounted on three small plexiglass discs, like plastic discs, that carry these markers. The discs are pretty thin, in fact, and they are famous to be pretty fragile. And we move to the wrist shot and to the strap. Bracelet. In this case today I'm using a very vintage bracelet, which is not branded Zodiac, but it's nevertheless of the time. Maybe you can notice that it's pretty large for me, but I know that these are a pain to size, so I never bothered to do it. I usually wear on a black leather strap with a PVD gold buckle. Before I forget, and we can move on with the other watch, the wrist shot of today is this Helm Komodo. It's a pretty big watch, but quite funny, a micro brand, very nice. Here is the beauty today, the Zodiac reissue limited edition of 182 pieces, released in 2019. This edition was available because it's pretty sold out, at least this version you see today. The other version, the gold one, probably can still find it around. I decided to have the two different versions, to have one new and the other, the proper old one. You can see that Zodiac over time released different shape astrographic that were and were not limited, and I advise you to take a look on the website, to take a look to a retailer that you can find some around. Still, as it very often happens with Zodiac, everything is pretty much out of stock. So let's go to the case shape and size, which are almost identical as the vintage. Diameter is 40mm, the lug width still 18, lug to lug 43, and a little smaller thickness to 11.5. As you can see in this case, the dial is a little larger. As you remember, the for me the main difference. And its fast is around 31 millimeter. If we move to the finishing, the main thing is this very nicely done sunburst radial brushing on top and a very nicely polished ring all around the bottom of the case, which is similar to the vintage one, but like in this case it gives even more a sense of nicely curving case. It gives the sense to be in presence of a lot lighter case that in fact is, because given the case shape and the thickness, which is not big, but like it's still quite a compact case. The case back in this reissue is much more refined, showing all the symbols of the Zodiac, the mention of water resistance and the limited edition now. The screw in this case is screw down. It's in fact a little small and difficult to unscrew, and this is my complaint for me about the watch. Just a few words regarding the bracelet. The bracelet has this nice clasp with Zodiac and it's all brushed with this style of oyster. The clasp is all machine, as you can see, and has some micro adjustment down there, and is as I said, oyster with this nicely done Zodiac engrave on the clasp. Over to the dial. The dial, as we said, it's a little bigger than the older version and this nice blue deep color. Just a fast wrist shot. If I didn't remember it before, my wrist is 16 centimeter, like 6 inches. And as you can see, the watch fits pretty nicely. Has a nice bracelet, as we've seen, and I keep it a little large here, but as you see, there is no problem, even with my very small wrist. So let's finish and let's go over some difference between the two watches. This is the finishing of the vintage one. As you see, the crown is a little smaller compared to the one of the newer version, and the finishing is definitely better in the newer version, with a more nicely done polishing and brushing on top. So here we go, and let's make some final comparison between the two watches. As I said before, as you see, the dial is slightly bigger in the newer version, and also like with the white ring on the dial looks even bigger, and the finishing on the case is definitely nicer in the new version. Now we go taking a look on the side. Now we move taking a look to the side of the watch and to see how the profiles are different between the cases. As you see, the size is almost the same, but the stainless steel version looks a little bigger. And if you take a look to the side of the crown, you can see that the crown of the vintage version is definitely smaller and looks not as finished as the one in the newer version, as so as the case finishing that, as I said already, it's more nicely done in the newer version of the watch. A review won't be completed without a lume shot, and is there even any lume? Yes, there is on both watches, but as you see, it's pretty inexistent and it stays only on the symbol at the middle of the dial. And the final battle of this clash of ages is the movement. If you focus your eyes, you will see the movement on the left ticking 10 times, while the movement on the right ticks only 8. And this is the difference that we spoke about. So here we have the two watches of today, the two Zodiac Astrographic, the old one and the new one. And as you walk with me through the differences and the similarities between the two, which one of the two you prefer? I love both of them, and I cannot decide. I wear obviously more often the new one just because it's new, but both of them are nice piece and I'm very happy to own them. This is all for today. Please feel free to subscribe and comment and put a like if you like the video, and come back to Watching Time to watch other videos and other watches of our collection. Bye!